This is Kelly Matthews from Divine Aggression Radio. I interviewed John and Allison from Roses Unread in November 2013. They are not only excellent musicians, but genuinely cool people. This interview was a lot of fun. I came away from this knowing that I had gotten a great interview and also I had made friends. Now, if you are wondering, yes, I put together the slideshow. I apologize in advance. A blind guy putting together a slideshow is not the easiest thing in the world, so cut me some slack. Anyways, here is my interview with John and Allison from Roses Unread.
Hey, this is John.
And this is Allison.
And we're with Roses Unread, and you're listening to Divine Aggression Radio. All right.
Okay, I have a very special guest with me on this edition of Divine Aggression Radio. Members of a band that I've known about for a while, actually longer than what I actually realized after speaking with the vocalist on Facebook. But I am with the band called Roses Unread. I want to welcome John and Allison. Thank you guys so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Okay, let's go back to how the band got started. Because I know, Allison, I don't know if you're the only one that was in a band before Roses Unread called Self-Made, but I know you were in that band because we actually did a gig together way back when. But how did Roses Unread get started?
Well, Allison, after Self-Made had their stint, Allison had a band called From All the Rest, and I was in a band called Vision. And Allison's band was based out of Tennessee, and I was living in Arkansas at the time. And our bands happened to play a show together in Tupelo, and that's kind of how we met. We hit it off and became friends. Well, when I left Vision, and then after From All the Rest, all those guys disbanded, Allison and I had kept in contact, and then we decided to get together every now and then and start just jamming and writing. I was always a big fan of her melodies and her lyrics. And when we kind of decided we wanted to really play music together, we both had a vision of a extremely melodic band that you could sing along with that was also really, really heavy at the same time, and it had the two contrasts, if you will, were to both be there at the same time and were both to be emphasized. And that was a vision that the two of us had together, and that was always the major issue with Roses Unread. Not really issue, but that was the main objective when we started Roses Unread, was to have the heaviness and the rawness and the energy, as well as the pretty melodies, the sing-along type lyrics and choruses, that sort of thing. So we pretty much, to sum it all up, we pretty much just met each other and then in different bands and played a lot of shows together in different bands. And then when those bands broke up, we got together and started just kind of hanging out and playing together. And then 6 years down the road, here we are, and we're still doing Roses Unread and couldn't be happier.
Well, that's great. You guys have gotten a lot of attention in social media, and I heard you guys on SL100, and you have 2 albums out. Tell me about the new album. What's it called? Where did you record it at? How did it all come about, and the differences between your first record and this one?
Well, we're actually on our 3rd album. We had, you're right, we have 2 out that you've probably heard. Our newest one is a self-titled album, and it was really about 2 years in the making. We recorded our first album, The Commencement, in 2009. We recorded Until We Meet Again in 2011. We recorded our self-titled CD here recently and just released it back in early October for the masses. We chose Dave Cowell out of Memphis, Tennessee. He runs a great studio called The Noise Factory, and we went to him. Dave and I and Allison had been talking for a couple of years about doing some work together, and it all just kind of worked out with our schedules and what the direction we wanted to go with it. So, we wrote we wrote songs for this album for close to 2 years between playing shows and promoting our second album. We had these songs were being written and plans were being made for a third album. So I think around started talking to Dave in maybe April, May. We finally went into the studio in June. We probably had about 150 hours just in recording time on it.
We were done about the first week in August. We were done recording all of it.
Sent it off to get mixed with Jason Gillespie, who does a wonderful job. He's got a degree in recording and engineering. And then the mighty Brad Blackwood mastered it, and all the dream team, as I called them, Dave Cowell, Jason Gillespie, and Brad Blackwood, they're all based out of Memphis. And and to me that was important because Allison and I are both University of Memphis alumni, and I'm from Memphis originally, around there, and it was just important for us to have a crew that was local work on the album. And to put out, and it really kind of, because the Memphis Crew, the Memphis people have, to me, they have their own sound, and they really,
we're sticking to our roots. Staying in Memphis.
They understand what we're trying to do, and they took it and really made a unique piece of work out of it, and we're real proud of it.
Well, the album sounds fantastic. I played a song last week on the show called Blind Lead the Blind. Can you tell me a little bit about your lyrics and where you come from in that direction?
Well, we Blind Lead the Blind actually was the first song our two guitar players really wrote together, actually sat down and just came up with the guitar part. The other songs on the CD you hear, either Blake would he came to the band with him and brought them to us and was like, hey, can y'all do something with this? And John already had the other half of the CD written, but Blind Lead the Blind was kind of special because they actually sat down and pretty much co-wrote it together. And as we were writing it, I don't know, the lyrics kind of just spoke to me. I really didn't have anything set, but it was just kind of like the music was talking to me and just kind of told me what to write. It ended up being our single, and I think it's because it has a very catchy melody and it makes you want to sing along. It's got the Let's Go chant in it, and I mean it all just fell together so well that night. We ended up writing the whole song in one night.
Who did you listen to growing up, and who's been your influences as far as vocalists?
I grew up listening to a lot of Korn, actually, and as I got older, that changed a lot, and now I love Seven Dust, and I just love how, LeJean has his soulful melodies over that, those raw guitars, and, just the bounce, he has to have that bounce to him, and it just makes you want to move, and that's kind of what we go for. We love Breaking Benjamin, Chevelle, like all that type of stuff. I'm a huge Christina Scabia fan from Lacuna Cole. Mm-hmm. She's just awesome to me, but my main influence is probably Seven Dust, I'd say. I think that's a lot of them. You can ask John. I mean, he loves Seven Dust too. He's inspired by their guitar parts, and our drummer actually named his son after the drummer. So this band's, it's just very hugely influenced by Seven Dust.
What about your guitar playing, John? Who did you listen to? Seven Dust, obviously.
Well, yeah, Clint Lowry and John Connolly from Seven Dust are two of my favorites. Pete from Chevelle's always been a huge influence on me. Since I was in high school, I've been a huge Chevelle fan. The people that really made me want to start playing guitar and really inspired me to practice early on was Kurt Cobain. I was a huge Nirvana fan when I was 11, 12, 13 years old. Huge Goo Goo Dolls fan. Those are the bands that kind of got me into rock and roll. And Johnny from the Goo Goo Dolls, Kurt Cobain. But when I was 14, my cousin was on tour in a band called Systematic, and they came through Memphis, and they were on tour with Godsmack, Cold, and Stain. and he took me out to the Mid-South Coliseum, and I got to see Stain soundcheck to Open Your Eyes, which is the first song off their Break the Cycle album. And I think that moment, me watching them soundcheck and just seeing, there was no crowd or anything, it was just
you and them.
It was just me there watching them soundcheck, and to me they were so surreal. That was the moment where I said, I have to do this. This is what I want to do. And there was no crowd energy for them to feedback off of, but I just remember them being so tight and so loud, but they sounded so good, and the melody of the song just made me, I was almost in tears. It was so cool to me. And that, so Stained, Mike from Stained and Aaron from Stained really, really were the biggest influences, I think, on me when I really decided when I was 14, 15 years old, hey, I've really got to start taking this more serious. And if I want to do this one day as a, full-time and go on tour and have a lot of people listen to my music, I really have to concentrate more on writing good songs and perfecting my craft. So, I listen to a lot of bands here and there. Here lately, I've been listening to a lot of I Empire. BC from I Empire is an amazing guitarist. I don't understand how he plays guitar the way he does, but we got a chance to play with him at Newbies here a few weeks ago, and that was an amazing experience in itself. So every band I listen to and every band we see, I try to watch the different members of the band, not just the guitar players, and I try to draw inspiration and learn a little something from them, whether it be how they run their equipment or how they perform on stage, or even how they conduct themselves and how they interact with the crowd and each other and us off stage. So I guess I'm kind of running my mouth at your question, but
no, this is
to
great.
me, yeah, to me, my original influences were Nirvana and Goo Goo Dolls and Stained, and then I continue to open my eyes and draw inspiration from every band and every person that I meet in my daily walk in my music career.
All right, I want to ask you guys, I don't know who wrote the lyrics to this song. I'm going to guess it's Allison. And the song sounds very personal. Tell me about the song Room 312.
It's actually called Room 312. And it was actually inspired by one of my friends. She lost her grandmother. She got old, had a really bad illness, got Alzheimer's, couldn't really remember a lot, and they sent her to a nursing home, and the nursing home was Room 312. And she ended up passing away in that room. Well, my friend couldn't really express herself in her own words, so she kind of wanted me to write a song or maybe a poem, for her, and she wanted me to call it Room 312. And I was like, I'll try to do that. I've experienced losing my grandparents, so I could probably, do something like that for you. I said, I haven't, lost it in the sense you have, but, I'll try for you. And I wrote this song for her, and she absolutely loved it. She said, that's exactly what I was feeling. She's like, you've got to do something with this now. So we ended up making, the song and the video for it. And, well, the weird thing about it was after I wrote the song, my grandmother passed away in the same nursing home, not the same room, but the same nursing home as her grandmother did. So it was like every time I had to play the song live, it was just very hard, if you know what I mean. And it was just a difficult time. But in the same sense, the song got me through too. So it was like a bittersweet thing. At first I was like, I don't want to play this song, but after I played it, I felt better, kind of thing. But but it was pretty weird how it all happened, and it kind of tied our second album Until We Meet Again all together, because if you notice, there's a little girl on the front, and to me she was playing the version of me as a child, and she's kind of looking up at the stars, telling somebody she's lost until we meet again, which tied into Room 312, losing somebody you love. And then in the intro of the CD, which is the intro of Room 312, it's got the little girl talking, and she's saying the lyrics to the chorus. So, and another cool thing about that was it was our producers of the second CD. It was her daughter, his daughter. So it just all tied together really, really neatly, and that was just a very personal record for us, and a very personal song.
Okay, we were talking about the song Room 312, and you mentioned you had a video for it. Tell me about your music videos, because you guys have, 2 or 3 videos out? How did that come about, and tell me about the filming them and the whole deal.
Well, the cool thing about all 3 videos was it was filmed by the same guy, Matt Crum, out of Nashville, and he's like a really close friend, and we just trust him with our music and the route we want to take our music videos. So, I mean, and he doesn't charge a whole lot either because he's a really good friend of ours. He was actually in a band before with Blake, our other guitar player. So, I mean, we're really close with him, and he does an excellent job. And the first one, if we had different members, we shot Amazed by the Change in Nashville, or the live part of us playing. And then the scene with the girl in the room, she was like a doll. Have you seen that one?
I have not seen that.
It's called Amazed by the Change, and it's a girl, and she's kind of stuck in her dollhouse room, and her face is painted. She's scared to go out and into the world, so she's kind of like playing dressed up like a doll because she's just scared to go out and face the world again. And it ends up she breaks the mirror at the very end and looks at herself, and she ends up opening the door, and she leaves. She's amazed by the change that she actually broke free from all that. And that was actually Matt's stepsister at the time. I don't know if it's still a stepsister or not, but she was 15 years old and played the part. It's really cool because she's very dramatic for a 15-year-old. She just did it really good. And we actually shot that in my grandmother's house, the one that passed away. And Room 312 was actually shot in that house as well. The house is just really big and really old. It has really cool rooms. So we shot in the basement scene with the stuff hanging down. We shot, it's like pretty much in the basement, and wasn't a lot of room at all. We were ducking, trying not to hit our heads, and we just cut a bunch of sheets up and gave that effect and hung them down. And then we shot the other scenes in that house too. So we pretty much used 5 rooms in that house to shoot 2 videos. There's this pretty room in my parents' house. They live there now. And we shot the scene, like the ghost scene kind of in there, and then we went upstairs and shot the one where the grandmother's kind of in purgatory, like she doesn't know if she should leave or not. And then at the end, it tells her to go fly and be free, and then she leaves when the granddaughter comes back. So it really just ties all together. And Blindly we actually shot in the backyard of our house. So we hung all the lights up and pretty much shot the whole thing in a day. Every video we've pretty much done in a day except Amazed by the Change. And hung the lights up pretty much in the backyard in the woods, and that's all it was. I mean, we just had some guys that really knew what they were doing.
Well, they turned out really good. Let me ask you guys this. Do you find it, let me put it to you this way. What are the pros and cons of not only being in a relationship, but being married and being in a band together? Do you find that the lines blur sometimes, or do you keep one totally separate from the other?
Well, I don't guess there's a clear-cut way to answer the question. I guess the way I see it is everybody that we play with, everybody in this band, whether they're in the band or they're part of our road crew, they realize that everything that Allison and I do for the band, we have the band's best interest at heart. And everybody realizes that, and there's never anything ever said about, oh, well, you're just doing this because of a conflict of interest. There's never any mention of that.
Like, I don't think there's ever been, honestly.
Yeah, there's never been ever since this band's been incepted. So, we don't have any children, and from the time we started jamming together and even started dating, music was kind of the thing that brought us together. So to us, this band is our child of sorts, and we everything we do is usually has some kind of band activity or band promotion tied to it. And I think everybody that knows us on a personal level realizes that. So there's never any, oh, well, they're just doing this to do this for themselves. No, it's never been about that. It's been about the band. We actually put the band before our marriage and before ourselves, and we make a lot of sacrifices for it. You know, anybody that's ever been in a band can tell you that there's many, many sacrifices that you have to make in your life to be able to play music that way.
Well, have you guys ever had an argument and have to go on stage and act all nice?
No. The only thing we argue about is band stuff. To tell you the truth, I mean, it's just easy. And this band stuff we argue about is, well, do you want to play this show or do you want to play this show? Well, I'd rather play this show because we haven't been there in a long time. Well, I'd rather play this show because it's a new club. You know, those, and they're not really arguments. They're more business discussions, I guess, because it kind of frustrates everybody from time to time. But when it comes to band stuff, I'm pretty much all business all the time. So, you know, I look at it as objectively as I possibly can. I got a little tongue-tied there. And for the most part, Allison does too. But, you know, she's a good yin to my yang. She brings out the personality to the other side of the coin, whereas I'm strictly business, and I look at it from an objective and an unemotional standpoint. She brings the other side to it. So I think
it's
without,
I'm a woman, I'm emotional.
without
comes with the territory.
To me, if you had just one or the other, you might have good songwriting. I think Allison's a great songwriter in her own respect, and I like to think that I am too, because I contributed a lot and I wrote a lot of these songs. But I think if you had one and not the other, you wouldn't have the full package. It'd be like, you know, us not having Blake or us not having Caveman. They're part of the puzzle, and their personality and their ability coming together is what makes it special and unique.
Now, one thing I have noticed, it seems like there is a spiritual influence on your, or should I say maybe an influence of faith on some of your lyrics. How does your faith play a part in your, not only your lyric writing, but in the band as a whole?
Well, I'm a Christian, but in no way am I perfect. You know, I sin, I admit it. But, you know, But in my own sense, I feel like I kind of admit those things in my writing, and I kind of let other people know, yeah, you know, it's okay if you do those things too. You know, as long as you keep your faith and you know and you believe and you try to be a better person. You know, we're all gonna fall. We all have our demons. We're gonna face, but you know, just have faith and just have hope, and you'll get through. And that's in every song. That's what I'm trying to say. And you know, I get mad in my lyrics and I get angry, but to me, you know, just writing and venting about it is better than, you know, telling somebody to their face at least. You know what I mean? Because that's not the moral thing to do. Is just to get on somewhere and start bashing somebody or do this. You know, people are going to make you mad, but you know, do it in a way where it's not going to hurt anybody. Just do it for your, you know, let it out for yourself. And that's what I try to do. And that's the message I kind of send. So if that makes sense.
What would you think if you got hung with the moniker or the label they're a quote quote Christian band? How would you feel about that?
Well, I mean, it would make sense because I am a Christian. I mean, we don't label ourselves as Christian rock, but you know, if somebody wants to label me that, I'm not going to have a problem with it because you know I do believe in God and you know I am a Christian, so you know they can label it what they want. I mean, because honestly, we don't even know what to label ourselves. We just say, you know, we're heavy rock and, you know, try to make a difference, try to get a point across, you know.
All right, where can people find you guys on the web? If they want to buy your music or if they want to find your website, how can people find you?
We have actually an actual website. It's www.rosesunread.net, and it's unread like a book, UNREAD. And we do our Twitter. It's just Roses Unread. and we have Facebook. We have like 6 or 7 profiles on there because we ran out of like space to add friends. So we've got a few of those. So you can find us on any one of those, and we'll talk to you. But there's a main page that you can like the page, and it'll show up when you just type it in. It'll say, where it says like however many likes the band has, and you can just click that and get to that one. That's our main one. And, we have our Reverb Nation. I've actually been really big on Instagram lately. So, I mean, you can find us on any of that stuff. YouTube. We're on Pandora, iTunes, Spotify, eMusic, pretty much anywhere you can download music.